A lot of this isn't going to make sense to you, and I'm sorry about that. I'm just going to start at the beginning, with the house.
Abi ses iyi mi yayında? Bir sıkıntı yok değil mi?
I lived here until I was 11, but I wasn't allowed inside half the rooms. Inside the mailbox were bills from 7 years ago, marked urgent, open immediately.
Biraz sesini açalım.
I hadn't been back since my brother Lewis's funeral. In her will, my mother left me a key, but didn't tell me what it unlocked. Maybe she thought I'd know. Or she thought that the mystery would be enough to bring me back.
Buradan gideceğiz herhalde.
The truth is, even after I inherited the house, I never thought I'd come back to it. But now I had questions about my family that only the house knew the answers to. The woods around the house have always been uncomfortably silent, as if they're about to say something but never do. The house was exactly like I remembered it, the way I'd been dreaming about it. As a child, the house made me uncomfortable in a way I couldn't put into words. Now, as a 17-year-old, I knew exactly what those words were. I was afraid of the house.
Evden korkuymışız. Hadi bakalım.
I hoped the key might unlock the front door. It didn't.
Yok, bir animasyon yaptırmadı orada. Elini bırakmadı şeyden. Posta kutusu kapağından. Şey dedi ya, 7 yıllık açılmamış acil biller, faturalar ödenmemiş faturalar duruyor diyordu. Bir hareket yaptırmadı orada. Dönüp bakmamız var mı peki? Bakalım. Tabii koşma yok ya, bir saat sürecek herhalde. Var mıymış kontrolleri falan? Yok. Dümdüz yürüyoruz. Aha. Lan buradan nasıl gitti bu? Zıpladı.
No one had driven this way in a long time, but I saw a few hoof prints.
Tamam. Benim geldiğim bu yol bu değil miydi ya? Ha burası işte. Aynen. Ha buradan aşağıymışsın. Yok Kıvanç abi. Animasyona sokmuyor. Yukarıdan yürüyelim bari şimdi. Ha okey. Basket potası aynı yere geldi zaten. Bir şey kaçırmamışız demek. Burada ne varmış?
I asked Edie once about the dragon in the pond. She said it had killed her husband.
Nasıl
I
yani?
was 6. It seemed like an odd joke to me even then.
Yok. Denizi geçirtmiyor zaten. Böyle şaka mı yapılır ya? Kocamı yedi diye. Can buradan gideceğiz.
Crawling through the doggy door used to be a lot easier when I was 11.
Masada bir şey var.
The power had been turned off the night we left. For the first time in years, I felt like I was home. But instead of a family, there were just memories of one.
12 yaşında duruyormuş Lewis. Peki.
Like how after Lewis started working at the cannery, we all got sick of eating salmon. Except our cat, Molly. Or how only one restaurant would deliver to our house, so we had Chinese a lot.
Şuraya bak.
The table was still a wreck from the night we left. It was like a bomb had gone off, killing everyone but sparing the furniture. My mom was the only one of us who could imagine Great-Grandma Edie living in a nursing home. Nothing in the house looked abnormal. There was just too much of it, like a smile with too many teeth. Even the fireplace had a story. Edie told me the bricks came from the original house, after it sank. Great-Grandpa Sven built a music box for Barbara, along with the rest of the house. Mom always told me to stay out of the basement, so I wasn't too surprised when the key didn't fit. After Milton disappeared, Mom sealed up all the bedrooms. Then Edie retaliated and drilled peepholes.
Ne kafalar ya.
Whenever people ask me about my family, the first thing they always want to know about is Barbara. Mom must have locked the third floor stairs on the night we left.
Calvin. Gregory. Bunların hepsi ölmüş mü yani? Eddie de yeni mi ölmüş? Aynen ya, her yeri kilitlemiş bir de. Bir de anahtar vermiş, hiçbir yeri açmıyor. Ha. Bura ne?
I spent a lot of time playing in Great Uncle Walter's room. I think my mom sometimes regretted not sealing it up.
Ha, ona kalsa burayı da
Lewis
kilitleyecekmiş
told me there were
anasını.
secret passages, but I never believed him.
Burası da Uncle'ın odasıymış ha.
Turns out, my mom was really good at keeping secrets.
Aha.
Now it was time to find out what my mom had been afraid of.
Anamızın korktuğu şeyi bulmaya
From the
gidiyoruz.
paintings on the wall, it was clear my brother Milton had been here before me.
Tamam. Başka ne var?
Reading this, maybe it sounds like I had a plan. But I had no idea what was behind that door. Just like I had no idea where all this was gonna lead. I grew up looking at Molly's room through the peephole. Being inside for the first time, I felt like I'd stepped behind a painting.
Dikizliyormuş normalde.
December 13th, 1947. Dear Diary, I'll be gone soon, but I wanted to tell somebody about what's gonna happen. It started when Mom sent me to bed without dinner. I woke up and I was starving, so I looked around for something to eat. The gerbil food was dry, but I didn't mind it.
Neler yaşamışsınız ya?
I thought about eating Christopher, but I held back. I kept eating and eating.
Lan. Nasıl bir açlık bu?
I ate a lot of things that night.
Bebeğe bak, diş macunu yedi.
Then I heard chirping outside my window. It was a barn swallow going back to her nest. I reached out for her. And suddenly, I was a cat.
Peki. Karşı zıpla, ha.
I tried to be quiet, but the bird was really scared. Mom and Dad didn't even look at me.
Balmende de bak, peki. Nerede bu? Yukarıda. Nereye zıplayacağız?
I jumped and I almost got her. I could tell she was getting really tired.
Masada bir şey var mı ya?
Now I was up in the big tree. I promised Dad I wouldn't climb it anymore. All I cared about was eating that mama bird. I gobbled her up. And suddenly, I was an owl. First, all I heard was the wind. Then I heard little teeth nibbling in the grass. Rabbits.
Rabbits. Hakikaten ya. Hayır bir de şeyi anlamadım. Bu nasıl bir açlık? Diş macunu yedi. Balığı yemeye şey ya yeltendi. Hadi şimdi hayvan kafasına girdi anladın mı? Diş macunu yemek midir? Bir dinner vermedi diye annesi. Ne abi? Ha,
I imagined his face looking up and seeing mine through my talons. I swallowed him up, and I didn't chew one bit. Then I flew off to find something bigger.
Bence de abi.
A mama rabbit. She was almost too big to carry. I started choking, but I couldn't stop eating. And suddenly, I was a shark. I rolled off a cliff and into the ocean. Now, I was hungrier than ever. I wanted fat, juicy seals. Her flipper, and it tasted really good.
Bir bebe niye böyle bir hikaye görür ya? Rüya görür. Rüya herhalde. Dur bakalım.
I grabbed on tight, but I was so hungry. Jumped out of the water. When I opened my eyes, everything changed.
Aha yılan oldu. Abi de. Evet.
Now I was a monster, and I smelled people everywhere. I was big, but I moved real quiet.
Aha.
I wanted to stop, but also I didn't.
Drunken sailor, what shall we do with a drunken sailor? His belly was rusty, razor shells.
Kaptanı mı yiyeceğiz?
last passenger, I was still hungry. And across the water, I smelled something new. Something I had to have, so I swam towards it. I slithered onto the sand, and the good smell went into an old pipe.
Bir de bunun ismi Molly miydi neydi? İlk bir de Barbara vardı bebe. Ulan daha onları çözeceğiz herhalde. Abi bizim oda değil mi? Daireye gidelim.
I got closer and closer.
Molly yani bizim daireye geldik.
All of my stomach started growling.
Yok değil işte. Molly'ydi galiba.
And suddenly, I was me again.
Bebe
I
olduk
held my
ya.
breath for a long time,
Ha
but
bu
I
işte.
couldn't hear anything. I think it's waiting for me to fall asleep. But it's not going to wait much longer. It needs to feed, and we both know I will be delicious.
Aa kafaya bak. Ne kafalar. Oynadım. Bak bu hikayedeki bebe. Bu her şeyi yiyen bebe Molly. Onun hikayesini okuduk. Ama şu an bu ana karakter kim
I'm
ben de
not sure
bilmiyorum.
if I believed all of that, but I'm sure Edie would have.
Şu an konuşan kim bilmiyorum. Barbara bu odaya girmeden önce herkesin favori çocuğu Barbara'ydı diyordu. Öyle bir resmini gördük sadece. Ve Molly'yi tanıdık. Neymiş bu? 37, 47, 10 yaşında gitmiş. Biz kimiz yazıyor mu? Herhalde Edith mi herhalde biz? Edith mi oluruz? Aynen Barbara'yı çözüyor herhalde. Bak en üstte Edith var. Ölmemiş daha. Şu an biziz herhalde o. Batalım. Ben en son hikayeye pek
I
inanmadım
got the
ama
sense Edie had
falanız.
spent a lot of time here
Yok.
before my mom sealed the doors.
Ha. Edith'de değiliz biz. Neyse. Çözeriz.
This will be obvious later, but my mom never told me any of these stories. Edie would have, but Mom didn't like bringing up the past. Though, when we adopted a stray kitten, she was the one who named it Molly.
Ne?
I spent a lot of time in Great Grandma Edie's room.
Ha. Grandma Edith'e geldik şimdi.
We got along, and it was a good place to hide from my mom.
Annemden saklanmak için. Ya abi, dediğin gibi ya bu anada bir şey var ya.
Her room
Herkes
was like a
anadan kaçıyor.
museum.
Dur be.
For 500 years, the Finches have been famous throughout Norway for their fortune and misfortune.
Peki.
Odin Finch buries the latest victims of the family curse, his wife Ingeborg and their newborn son, Johan.
Var. Peki.
On January 7th, 1937, he set sail with his family and his house, hoping to leave the curse behind.
Aha. Evi taşımış adam. Peki.
But 40-foot waves off the coast of Washington send the house and Odin to the bottom of the sea.
Dalga alıyor.
Odin's daughter Edie, with husband Sven and baby Molly, step ashore on their new home, Orcas Island.
Bu bizim grandmother. Grand. Sven neydi ya? Bebekleri de Molly.
Odin Finch is the first to be buried in the new family cemetery.
Odin ölüyor.
His daughter Edie is already dreaming of a new Finch house.
Bitti. Nasıl çıkacağız?
Whatever's wrong with this family, it goes back a long ways.
Ha, biz Edith'iz o zaman. Tamam. Eddie başka. Eddie şu aşağıdaymış. Odin, Ingeborg. Tamam. Bunlar da büyük dediler. Hadi bakalım.
When Edie told people Sven was killed by a dragon, she could also have said he was building a dragon-shaped slide that collapsed. She could have, but she didn't.
Kocama ejderha yedi ya.
One summer, they evacuated the island, but Edie refused to go. For a few weeks, she was a celebrity. I hadn't thought of myself as Edith Jr. for a long, long time.
Ha, ismini Edith'ten Edith Junior. Peki. Biz Edith'iz, onu çözdük.
Edie gave a big interview about a mole man living under the Finch house. My mom was furious. Edie knit me a new pair of gloves every year, just in time to replace the old ones. Louis died a week before we left, but Edie had already started to memorialize him.
Bir şey var mı? Kaset takılmıyor mu? Yok.
Even in her 90s, sometimes Edie seemed a lot younger than my mother.
Kıvanç bak abi, bizim Yellow soldaki gözlüklü ana. Tipini gördük. Hadi bakalım.
The only trace Grandpa Sam's first wife Kay left on the house was the pink bathroom. It was a pretty big trace.
Oyun nasıl başlıyor, amaç ne? Oyun işte senle başladık. Posta kutusunun orada. Ben de onunla beraber yürüyorum. Oyunda sadece yürüyüp hikaye dinliyorsun anladığım kadarıyla. Herhangi bir tuşmuş yok yani. Yani oyuna seninle beraber başladık. Anladığım kadarıyla da bir tane lanetli bir aile var, sülale var. Onlardan biri bu. Bu da çözmeye çalışıyor, anlatıyor yani daha doğrusu. Senin evin banyosu böyleyse bu çok iyiymiş. Komple halı flex mi banyonun altı? Herhalde geçmişi çözmeye çalışıyor. Çünkü evi terk ettik. Kaç yıldır gelmiyordum. İşte buraya uğrayacağımı tahmin etmiyordum. En son işte kardeşimin cenazesinde mi? Kardeşimin vasiyetiyle alakalı bir şey var dedi. Annesi buna bir anahtar vermiş. Evde bulursun bunun ne olduğunu diye. Bu da öyle geliyor. İlk söylediği şey buydu yani. İlk yazıda. Posta kutusuna baktık sonra. Orada da şey dedi işte 7 yıldır bakılmamış faturalar duruyor hala. Falan diyordu. Ondan sonra beraber
There's a
girdik
secret
zaten.
in this bathroom. It's in the last place you would look. It isn't in the cupboard. It's hidden in this book. Sven gave Sam an old camera he'd refurbished. He never put it down.
Ya bir de şu var anladığım kadarıyla bir sebepten dolayı bunlar evi terk etmişler.
I knew Grandpa Sam had a twin.
Dedenin ikizi varmış. Onu
And that
dedi.
he never talked about him.
Hiç bahsetmedi. Girme lan. Sola gitme. Bir de şurada bir şey vardı sanki.
I guess my grandpa didn't like history any more than my mom did.
Kelvin. Belli 61. Bu da 11 sene sonra.
How I Want to Remember My Brother by Sam Finch. The thing I remember is that when he made up his mind, that was it.
...50-61 miydi? Hatırlamıyorum tarihini. 11 yaş vardı ama.
My brother said he'd die before he ate another mushroom. And he did.
Başka bir mantar yemeden öleceğini söylemiş ve öyle olmuş. Yani. Çıkınca tarihe bakarım bir daha. Tam tarihi hatırlamıyorum. Dikkat etmedim.
At Barbara's funeral, we swore we'd never be afraid again. And he wasn't.
Abi herkes... Abi bir de... Yani hiç bana göre değilmiş bu. Çünkü hafızam yok ki benim. Ben şimdi Barbara hangi Barbara'dan bahsetti acaba? Bir Eddie vardı, bir Sven vardı. Onlar dedeyle anneannemiz galiba. Şimdi bu da neydi? Sven'in ikiz kardeşi dedi. Kelvin diyordu. Ama 10 yıl yaşamış gözüküyordu bu da. Daha sallanacağız mı bu arada? Sonra Barbara'nın cenazesinde cesur olacağız ve karar aldık.
I think Calvin always wanted to fly.
Sen
Dinner's
aynen.
ready. Coming.
Bu ikizler.
But that day, he finally made up his mind to do it.
Aha. Demek Salıncaktan uçacağız
I
herhalde.
told him going around was impossible. Maybe if I hadn't said that,
Calvin, I'm not gonna tell you again.
maybe if the wind hadn't picked up, then maybe he'd still be here. But I doubt it. I think he'd already made up his mind. That's what I want to remember about my brother. The day he made up his mind to fly. And he did.
Ha, bunun ikiz kardeşi o zaman şey. Salıncakla uçacağım diye gidip uçup ölmüş mü?
Calvin's story felt strangely familiar. When I was younger, I remember trying to do the exact same thing.
Bak abi, şimdi bu Calvin yazıyor. 50-61 diyor, bak 80 değil. Bu bizim Sven'in, dedemizin ikiz kardeşi herhalde. Bebeyken salıncakta GG olmuş. Bu Barbara'da 44-60 diyor. Bu Barbara'da o zaman Eddie bizim şey. Ha, 2010'a kadar yaşayan Eddie bizim Sven'in karısı. Barbara da bebelerden biri. Barbara çağırdığına göre Sven'le Calvin'in annesinin ismi de Barbara. Dur bakalım. Kafa karışıyor iyice. Barbara bir de bizim ufak kardeşlerden biriydi. Favori kardeşimiz diyordu. İlk girişte. Buraya kadar benim aklımda bunlar kaldı. Dur bakalım. Aynen, bu Kelvin 50-61 11 yaşında salıncakta uçmuş bu demek ki. Buraya çıkmıyorduk az daha bile.
After the funeral, Edie roped off Calvin's half of the room.
Ne dedi, kaçırdım ya.
Mom said Grandpa Sam enlisted at 18 and never set foot in the room again.
Grant en iyisi. Odaya 18'den sonra bir daha adımını atmamış. Peki. Manken adam.
The passages were a pretty tight fit. They'd obviously been built for smaller hands and bellies.
Bence sola mı gidelim? Sol geniş yer açılıyor. Yok, şurası ufak. Şuraya gidelim. Aynen, enlisted aynen.
Growing up, I always thought of Barbara as a child star.
Ha bak, Child Star Barbara. Geldik Barbara'ya. Bu işte. Girişte de bu resmi görmüştük. Çocuk ünlü olmuş. Herhalde oyuncu. Ha bak, Oscar ödülleri var, oyunculuk ödülleri. Bebe oyuncu.
I never thought about how hard it must have been for her afterwards.
Afterwards ne? Happy birthday Barbara.
Of all the stories people wrote about Barbara's death, I'm surprised Edie saved this one.
Barbara'nın ölümü hakkında yazı çalışıyor. Eddie bunu sakladığı için memnunum demiş. Neymiş bu?
Old Jack here with another ghastly tale inspired by America's most unfortunate family. I'm calling it The Surprise Ending of Barbara Finch. As a child star, Barbara was famous for her